My name is Hans Peter Meyer, and today I'm talking to Wayne White. We're on his property here on the edge of the Puntledge River, right?
Puntledge River, yeah.
Right, in beautiful Courtenay. And we're talking, this is part of a series of conversations about conservation in the Comox Valley. Now, Wayne's got a pretty interesting background here because not only do you work have you worked professionally on environmental issues, you were 6 years with the school board, 5 years as chair of the school board, so you know local government, and you're involved in a number of NGO, stream stewardship kind of activities. Is that right?
That's right.
So you've been in the Comox Valley since 1975 and almost immediately got involved in stream stewardship work. Is that right?
Actually, it was when I first came, I was mainly focused on my career part of it, which was as pollution control officer for the North Island. So I got involved in doing bacterial surveys of Comox Harbor because we were essentially discharging sewage both from Courtenay and Comox into the harbor at that time. So there was a big survey around that. So I kind of got into it from that end, but I met a lot of people who were from the conservation communities, the Melda Buchanans and the Ruth Masters of this world kind of thing at that time, because they brought issues into me, and this was right around the time when they were putting in the regional sewer system, so there was a lot of activity around that focus. So that's how I kind of got to know people in the conservation strategy. But then we also became the Ministry of Environment through that time. My ministry changed, and by that move, it threw me in with other people from the people who worked in fish and wildlife and fisheries and those issues. So it got me thinking about the whole environment and ecology in broader terms kind of thing than strictly from the waste management or the pollution control aspect of it.
So at that time, did you get involved in non-profit organizations?
My real first big move into again, through my career, I got involved with Mount Washington mine site because I was the technician who kind of went up there and looked at these things and was involved with the first cleanup activity in the 1980s that Charles Brandt and the Steelhead Society had spearheaded. But that kind of fell to the back burners because it wasn't really that effective at first, and over time we found out it took about 10 years for the first cover system to actually start working. But near the end of that 10 years, when we could actually start to see something happening, then the Tsolum River Task Force was formed, I believe by Evelyn Gillespie. We started with the Healing the Tsolum conference at the band hall, and that kind of initiated the Tsolum River Task Force, which the Tsolum River Restoration Society is an outgrowth of.
And you're still active with that? And
that's where I became most active in the watershed work. I started to meet a lot of the other people at the task force table. There was people from DFO and people from the local environmental groups who sat at that table.
What's the biggest issue that the Tsolum River Restoration Society is working with now?
Well, at that time, and really up until this last couple of years, the focus has been on the old mine site and the copper pollution at the old mine site, and that's where I thought I could bring something to the group. Is with my technical expertise. I took that on as mine site chair, and we've worked with other partners, the Ministry of Mines, the Mining Association, Ministry of Environment, DFO. There's I think there's about 10 members of the partnership to actually get where we are today, which essentially, from the last 2 years of work, we're meeting objectives on the Tsolum for copper. We've essentially have got it down to a level where it can support the life again in the river, and the river is showing signs of cleaning up. So now we've kind of moved it out of the column of rivers beyond hope to a river just not like any other river on East Coast Vancouver Island that needs a whole lot of restoration work. There are other activities that we're starting to do now, but we had to lift that toxic burden off the river before people actually look at it as a reasonable opportunity for restoration.
So it's like a local success story.
It is, and we're now starting, making another form of partnership with Rivers Institute from BCIT to actually look at a long-term recovery plan for the river. Like we're looking at a 50-year time scale for a recovery plan for the river. So
now it's through that organization, through the Tsolum River Restoration Society, that you've become involved in the Comox Valley Conservation Strategy, right?
that's right. Our group was, essentially saw that a lot of the developmental issues that we had in the Tsolum River were shared by other watershed groups, and we saw that the way of moving those forward was again another partnership, this time a community partnership with other groups who are working in other watersheds to be able to get essentially coordinated approach to conservation across the valley.
Has that been successful?
I think it's been very successful. Jeremy Rifkin's recently written a book kind of talking about the change from geopolitics to biosphere politics, and that's kind of what I see in the conservation strategy, where we're talking about watershed governance and planning units based on the natural environment rather than jurisdictional environment.
There's a lot of frustration, actually at every level, just about how many jurisdictions we have here. Is the strategy and its collaborative approach making a difference around that stuff?
I think yes, it is. I think that all the councils essentially have endorsed the strategy. It's something, now that they've actually made the endorsement, we have to work with them to make sure that their planning activities and their developmental activities actually start to take the concepts that the strategy is putting forward and actually put them into play. But I've been working on the estuary lately, and it's crossed by a number of jurisdictional boundaries, and it's very difficult to get everyone to agree to things on there, and to actually even agree to share some of the common development guidelines, those type of things. I think it's important that the biological systems be seen as the whole, and that we try to work around those jurisdictional boundaries.
So for people like me who aren't actively in the stream or working with stewardship groups, what are a couple things that we can do to support the kind of stuff that's being done through the strategy and the work that you're doing?
Well, for most of the groups, I think, if people see the booths at the fairs and so on and so forth, to actually make some donations to those groups, because the hardest thing for most groups is the actual core funding to actually keep the doors open on the offices and keep people paid, and I think that funding, but the actual core funding for the group is really important. The other thing, I think people have to kind of just become aware of in their own neighborhoods what their issues are, and to it's the awareness as much as the involvement. If people keep abreast of what's going on, if they've got a favorite spot near where they go for a walk or reconnect with nature, I think those people becoming aware and thinking about what's going on there. And also, I guess when it comes to politics, is to think about what people are saying about those as they make their presentations.
So you've worked in local government. Do you think local government is interested in this kind of stuff?
I think the interest is growing over time. It's growing more and more all the time. When I first became involved in 1975, we were essentially, like I say, we were dumping raw sewage into the basin and weren't really thinking much about it. But over time, yes, people have become more and more aware of it. As green spaces become more and more constrained, people start to think about them a little more, of both what they've lost and what they have here and what they want to protect. Each of those green spaces becomes more precious as time goes on. And in talking to Ruth Masters about the Ruth Masters green space here, she points out very clearly that it also affects land values around here. Those green spaces actually increase the land values probably about $1,500 per lot, according to some of the calculations, because of their nearness to that green space.
Right.
So it's,
And that's in your backyard here, basically.
That's
so you've
right.
benefited.
Exactly.
Your land values are higher because Ruth Masters donated this nice big chunk of land.
Exactly.
Created a park in your backyard.
Yeah, and people should be aware of those areas in their neighborhood, and once they become aware of them and become attached to them, I think I've always been wanted to think that you have to have a personal reason for that protection, and once you have a personal reason, then your commitment to that protection becomes greater.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Wayne, and thank you for watching.